Hey everyone, welcome to Collectors of Power podcast. I'm your host Bobby, and welcome to episode 3, Pop Goes the Origins. Today we'll be discussing She-Ra and the Princess of Power line, and if it should be in Origins. And before we start, I just want to announce our panels of guys. Bleh, who cares? It's Ryan, Bob, and Battle Armor Rhino. What's up, guys? I got finally
Yeah,
through
we
it.
are all running on no sleep, just so you know.
Yeah,
This is why.
yeah.
And
I'm
I would like to say
exhausted.
this is actually episode 3.1.
Yeah. We had some audio issues of my fault, but yeah, we're gonna redo this. Different topic, but same number episode. But before I wanted to get started here, I just wanted to mention I'm very happy with the fans that we have, outspoken fans. We got Grizzlor that's going to be available on Creations for a timed release after the initial day. And then also they heard us and about having Wondar come back. So that's also another tip of the hat to the fans. We all love you guys, and we got to stay outspoken, and so Mattel and them can hear us. And hopefully, it'll continue. Maybe every release now will be a timed release, so that would be great. But let's continue now on our discussion for the day. We're talking She-Ra. Right now, they've only released She-Ra twice in Origins. One as a PowerCon exclusive, and one as a regular release in the stores. Um, yeah, I want to see what you guys our thoughts are about having it released as a full line in Masters of the Universe Origins, and what type do you want to see in there? So you guys can go ahead and discuss that.
Well, I think we need to start it off with She-Ra, She-Ra, you
Well, now I got to
know.
pay for that song.
I'm gonna say just not Origins. As much as I love He-Man, her transformation sequence is the best.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. It's so good. Even my son, he's like, oh, I love it. And I'm just like, so anyway, I just have to throw it out there. Every time I listen to it, my son's like, can we listen to it in the car? We just put it on repeat, listen to it like 10 times, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done with it. But it is one of the best.
Yeah, especially when
It
he
is
does
the
it.
best.
Yeah, when she does it when He-Man's on the cartoon with her. That's even more special to me because I still love that He-Man opening. But so with the Origins, you guys want to? Let me ask us this then. You guys want to see it as how the PowerCon exclusive was, or do you want to see the line continue as the way it was released in stores without the braided hair?
Or
I'm
both.
fine with the plastic hair personally because, when you go back and you try to rebuy the vintage figures, a lot of them have so many hair problems. The rooted hair was nice, and I get it. They wanted it to be more like Barbie. The Princess of Power line was made to draw girls into Masters of the Universe. And so they were trying to go with that more doll feel by having her battle axe be a comb. She had rooted hair, so you could actually brush her hair and braid it and things like that. She came with different outfits that you could buy individually, so that you could change her clothes. So they were trying to capitalize on that Barbie market. I understand that, but with Origins, I'm totally fine if they went with the plastic hair. That's what we've always had with Tila. And so I have both. I have the SDCC exclusive one, and I have the retail release. And I think I would just be fine with that.
I'm surprised. I thought you would like to see it more as a vintage figure than the plastic haired.
Well, the thing for me is, I was really drawn to those designs of the vintage dolls. Filmation did a lot of overhaul of the look of the characters. So what I really want is for Origins to continue Princess of Power, but base the figures on the vintage dolls. We are getting the Filmation looks in Masterverse, so that's going to scratch that itch. But I still want Frosta to look like she did in the first toy. I still want Castaspella to look like she did in the original. I don't want them to go the route of Filmation. I want my Catra to have the gray mask with the fuzzy tail and her claw scratch action and all that stuff. But yeah, I want them to look like the first toys.
Just with plastic hair.
Just with plastic hair, just because I think it holds up better.
Yeah, the durability is a lot better.
Yeah, because I'm the opposite. I'm wanting it to be more like Filmation version. I don't know why. I think they look better than the original toys, but I know Origins is trying to match up what the original vintage looks like. So that it'll be something to see. I don't know. I like I said, if you look at Bo and you look at the vintage, but you look at him as in Filmation, what version would you like better?
The original.
The vintage one? Because he looks kind of like New Adventures He-Man, if you think about it.
Yeah, but again,
but he had the heart pump action and the gold armor and.
Yeah, but I think what Rhino's saying too is that line, the hair was so. We have a shop here, and it's you look at him, you're just like, well, that's so jacked up. I'm not buying it. He may be a great paint job, but like, I know you can restore hair. I see people do it on TikTok all the time. I get, sometimes it's like doll restoration, but I think from his perspective is getting a decent figure that doesn't require a lot of personal intervention per se, really will scratch that itch and be like, hey, now I actually have this figure. It may have plastic hair, but it does satisfy that itch for collection purposes. And me, I'm good either way. Like I feel like it's so weird because I think the way they're releasing stuff is like, they're now, they released the 2000X figures. It's like, well, we've missed a whole bunch of stuff that we still need to get. Let's not jump so far ahead. And I get why they're doing it. They're trying to get some stuff out, see if it's receptive and then maybe expand upon it. But, having really only one retail release of She-Ra and nobody else, I think it is a little disheartening. But again, you think about it, like I think about this too. Like I used to, I grew up with Power Rangers and I, lived with them, collected those. And when you go to the store, the ones you still see on the shelves are always the female figures. And I don't mean that in like any disrespect, but it's primarily a male, demographic that they're appeasing to. And unless you're a collector and want all of the figures, those usually are the last ones that get picked up, and they're like literally one in a case. And so that may be their fear of, hey, we're going to make these, people aren't going to buy them, and they're just going to be shelf warmers.
Yeah, but I think She-Ra was different, though. I mean, when she came out, none of us could find her.
No,
we were lucky to be able to order off. I think I had ordered mine off Amazon.
Well, but again, it might have been like the one per case too, like they
Yeah.
did with Power Rangers. So they're just like, hey, we're just getting it out there, and but
But I think the Princess of Power line though is a little bit more popular though than that, and maybe it is just a niche market, but I feel like there's a lot of people out there that really do want this. And if you're when you're talking about going the vintage look with the hair and stuff, you could always throw in a few exclusives here and there with the hair like that, just like they did with the first release of She-Ra.
yeah, because I've been hearing that a lot too. There's a couple people talking like that on Twitter as well, that they think that the She-Ra line will end up sitting on the shelves and not selling. And that then I hear a lot of people wanted it too. So that's where I'm curious on what your guys' thoughts were on this. I like to see it happen. I want them to do a lot of Filmation characters that weren't in the original vintage line though, as origins. They did that with classics, and like you were saying, they're doing it with Masterverse now in that P.O.P line, the Filmation version of it. But I would like to see even like a Madame Raz, Scorpia, stuff like that, and Seahawk. He would be a great Origins figure. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised that you guys weren't wanting it with the hair. in going with the plastic. But
Yeah, but I think it is just because of all of us that do go to some of the toy stores, the vintage stores, and just see the really messy looking heads.
well, yeah,
And I think personally, like I have a vintage She-Ra, and personally, I think I would much rather them plastic hair and spend a little extra on their clothing, because sometimes that sheer material is so thin, like the it's really garbage. And so I would rather them say, hey, let's do a little bit higher quality costumes for them, because that to me is what really kind of sets them apart.
so then you're saying you wanted the costumes plastic as well, or you want them doll
No,
like?
you look at like in Masterverse, you look at King Grayskull or Scareglow, their capes, like find something that is a little bit better material. I know a lot of it's that sheer stuff that's not the greatest, but maybe a backing with the sheer on front of it stitched on it or something, just to make it a little bit more durable, because I think it will rip really quick.
Well, it's like,
Still fabric, but better quality.
okay, because when they like made Scareglow and I'm sure King Randor, it's plastic capes. They didn't go with the felt or whatever it's made out of. So that's why I'm curious on if you want to appeal to the majority. I think plastic would probably be better for Origins. The other stuff is more for Masterverse with the material. So,
Plastic's easier for mass production too, though.
well, yes, yeah.
Well, you look at here's classic She-Ra. She's got the plastic here, plastic cape. It's not horrible. I wouldn't hate it, but you look at some of these other figures, like Frosta with her kind of bigger cape, in the back. Like, would that translate really well as a big piece of plastic, or is it better to go with fabric? I don't know. It's a weird edge sword, and I don't think we don't see a lot of that in the Origins, because you say it's plastic. You see more of the fabrics on the Masterverse. So if the Origins prices are going up, and like maybe they can invest a little bit more into better fabrics. I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm asking too, because like I was saying earlier, Origins is matching the vintage, and if you truly want reproduction of vintage, you have to go with the way it was originally made. That's why I'm asking. I guess it
Yeah,
would be a
But they
compromise.
didn't do that with Prince Adam, though. Prince Adam was plastic,
Yeah,
instead of the fabric.
right. Yeah, that's what I'm curious. But the She-Ra line is a whole different animal, I think, than a couple characters from.
Well, yeah, and like her piece right here, this is now plastic. Where on the vintage, it's fabric. So they left her cape fabric, and her shoulders are fabric, and the sheer of this is fabric, but this is now hard plastic.
That's the
Yeah, so it's a nice little hybrid.
yeah, and that's
Well, it's
what
a
I'm
nice
asking.
little hybrid.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. So we could bring up like Spinnerella if you've seen her outfit from vintage, and she's very rare. If they make her, that's going to be a little more difficult, or trying to reproduce that look of her with all the dangling, outfit she has. Or do you think that would be tough?
For me, like I said, I want Filmation. If we're going to do Filmation, I want that Masterverse. We've already seen Frost and Shadow Weaver. We know they're coming. We've already got Catra on pre-order. Those are all Filmation. So I think if we're going to do Pop in Origins, it needs to be the original dolls looks.
Okay, so then are you saying then you don't want Shadow Weaver, you don't want Scorpia, you don't want any of those Filmation characters in the Origins line?
No.
Really? See, I'm opposite. I would.
Maybe as exclusives, but not like mass appeal retail releases.
Yeah, because
they can be an exclusive, but
I doubt they're going to release it as a separate line. I'm saying it's going to have the Masters of the Universe backing card, with the rock burst and all that, not the pink, Princess of Power card. So it's going to line up with those figures. But if they goes, I'm wanting more of the Filmation characters in that line.
But my fear is that Filmation is going to eclipse the original, and there won't be the original designs anymore. It'll only be Filmation.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and I like leaving the
And I don't
Filmation
want
to
that.
the Masterverse.
Okay. I don't know. I want the Origins figures to be Filmation characters, but that's me because I don't have any original She-Ra, and I wasn't really into her when I was a kid. I actually was kind of upset when the cartoon came out because I was 12 in '85. So when He-Man wasn't on anymore, and I saw She-Ra come on, I was mad. I was like, "Where's my He-Man? Why isn't he on?" Because we didn't have internet or nothing, so we don't know anything. You can't look it up right away. And I didn't really watch She-Ra when I was a kid, so I wasn't really into it much. I like it now as an adult, but not as a kid. So I didn't pay attention to any of the toys or anything like that. So I don't have a real big nostalgic feel for the line as much. But I was just, like I said, like Bo would be cool as a Filmation version, but I see where you're coming from with the vintage version, but I don't know if they would go for a what do you want to call it, exclusive version of him or not, but we'll see. I don't know.
But you could always sprinkle in a few exclusives, just like they did with throughout this whole line so far. Every once in a while they'll throw in a Filmation thing.
Yeah, well that's why I'm asking if they would just expand. But then again, it's like, Rhino said, he wants it to be the vintage version. So if you make the vintage version, but you go Filmation with the other characters, it's going to look a little odd with the other figures, So that's a tough one. But like what I wanted to bring up what Ryan said, like I was hearing on Twitter, some people are saying that it might not sell well because it's more geared towards girls. And it's going to sit on the shelves more, kind of, like some of the other figures that we've seen lately that's been sitting around for a while. Do you think if it did go vintage, it would sell, or do you think it would, if it went more Filmation, it would sell, or like a hybrid of both? You said without the fabric, but more of the plastic. I know it's a loaded question, but
I think it's going to sell no matter what. I mean, really, the ones that I see sitting on the shelves are the variants and stuff. Like the mini comic Stratos and stuff. Yeah, I didn't really see a lot of the main core female characters sitting around.
Well, Buzz-Off sits around. Jitsu sits around.
Yeah.
I've seen Tila in stores once.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, I saw her when I was headed back home in Little Podunk, Kansas.
Yeah. And some of that's the distribution stuff too, though. It just depends on where you're at. Because I've been to a couple of WalMarts here in town, and they don't have any Origin characters. They haven't for the last year.
Yeah, I went today and I saw Buzz-Off and Jitsu and Stratos still. That's the only line I've seen at one. I haven't been to Walmart in months, and they're still there. It's probably the same figures that's been there since I saw them last time.
That's because we all bought them at Target.
Well, I mean, who,
Well,
let's not say.
They came out before the end of last year, and we snagged them up real quick.
Right,
it was
but
just a distribution thing.
But say someone, we go to Walmart and Target to look for most of this stuff. So no one's just exclusively going and buying it at one store. They're going to go wherever they can find it. But yeah, so it's, I know that at San Diego Comic-Con this year, this question was brought up at the panel if they were going to bring out any She-Ra characters in the Origins line. They said that, the same line as, we listen to the fans, that right now we don't have any plans. Do you think it will come to the line in the near future? Because I know they've said that before and things have come out, maybe they don't want to give out secrets, but
I think they'll come out, but I think it might be a couple more years though.
You think so?
Because they kind of showed a lot of what's going to be coming out over the next 2 years.
Yeah, it looks like they're going more Snake Men and things like that.
Yeah, so it'd be kind of hard to fit those in with the Snake Men and just with the amount of things that are going to be coming out.
Yeah, because they're bringing out the Sunman characters, and I know there's not a ton of Sunman characters, but the same argument. Yeah, it's cool that they're coming out, but She-Ra is actually part of the original line.
Mm-hmm.
Are you upset that those figures are coming before She-Ra? I know they're expanding more. I know they want to reach out to everybody, all the fandom. That's why they're bringing out the 2000X characters and things like that too. But that's more towards the Snakemen, I think. I think that's why.
Yeah.
And of course they're going to come out with the original Skeletor and He-Man anyway. But like I was going to say, are you more are you? I don't know if you're upset, but are you disappointed that it hasn't reached us yet? I mean, they made She-Ra already wave 3 and nothing since.
Yeah, I mean, when She-Ra came out, I was hoping they were going to be sprinkling them in here and there. So I'm kind of a little disappointed that they didn't do that. But I also understand why they're bringing in what they're bringing in. Because it is better to include everybody, and I mean that's going to increase our sales and it's going to keep the line alive.
Right.
And also to address the question you asked before about would it sell, I think it will sell because of the same reason that Origins is selling now. There's two main driving factors. One, collectors who are wanting to relive this nostalgia, who are wanting to fill gaps in their collection. They're wanting these toys with modern day craftsmanship. And then two, collectors are buying these for their kids. So I think you've still got a lot of parents out there who were like, oh man, I would love to get my kid a She-Ra figure or a Catra figure, stuff like that. Like I talked to a lot of people who necessarily aren't buying Origins, but are like, man, I wasn't a big He-Man fan, but I loved She-Ra as a kid. I'd love to have a She-Ra figure. So I do think it will still sell. And especially if you stick to the main core group, they're definitely going to sell no matter what, just from completionists and people who want to get them for their kids. So and as far as how I feel about why they're not mixed in the line, they should be mixed in the line. Like you just said, like we should have gotten a Princess of Power, at least one per wave or one every other wave at this point. I don't even know what a Cobra camo is, but I've still not got Catra. It's frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, the CamoCon, that's I believe it's from Brazil. It's like a version that they produced down there. It wasn't released out here, so it's kind of like it's kind of like that Faker that came in with Duplicate. It was that Leo version. So it's one of those type of versions. But yeah, I was hoping that they did include them in the line. But like I said, since I'm a big Filmation fan, I want to see a lot of those Filmation characters too. Not every single character that has ever been in the cartoon. That would be just insane. But they did that with Classics, and I don't know how well it's sold in Classics, the She-Ra figures. I'm pretty sure they sold out, because it was a subscription, of course. But it's yeah, I wouldn't be too interested with a vintage style for some reason. I don't know, but I guess
Does that mean you wouldn't buy them?
Well, that's the thing, I get temporary insanity, it's
You're watching
He's
New
gonna
Adventures,
buy
and
'em.
now you need the mutants, and then you're gonna watch something else. And
Yeah.
you're gonna need that.
I know that.
You are the biggest FOMO guy out there.
I don't know. Well, that's what I was saying that to my wife today. I was that's why I went and got the Roton. I said I wasn't going to buy it because I have the vintage, and I had some stuff hit us, with my car and a TV and all that stuff. So it's a lot of money that ran out. So I'm freaking out, trying to tell myself I got to cut out some stuff, but I just can't.
And then you walked down the aisle and went, ooh.
Yeah, well, that's exactly, there's like, in me, it's like, I hope I don't find it, but then in me as well, I said, I hope I find it, and I looked down, there it is, I was like, I was happy I found it, So I probably would get it, any of the figures, I guess, the She-Ra, because in a way it is cool. 'Cause since I am a vintage guy, I do like vintage. But I prefer if I got vintage, I would buy the vintage figure, But that's shoot myself in the head about Origins. It's the same thing. So, I think I would be happy with either. I don't know. I'm such a mess when it comes to this stuff. I've been collecting for so long, It's
you sit here talking about this, and I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, so tomorrow, I haven't been to that store yet that I know has old vintage ones. Maybe I should go and just
well. See, and that's what gets me in trouble too. I started picking up a couple of the New Adventures mutants. The vintage. I can't call them vintage because it's 1990. So the original figures.
It's
But
vintage.
but it's like I spent $100 there, and then my TV breaks. That's another $1,500. Then my car broke, and I had to get new brakes, so that was another $1,500. So right there, I have over $3,000 within the month, and here I am wondering if I should still keep buying toys. And it's like what we were talking about before. You got to live. Don't go into debt. But it's I'm not going into debt because of toys, but it's. But again, it's only one life. You only got a certain amount of days. You might as well enjoy them, right? So, I think I'm so conflicted with the She-Ra in the Princess of Power line because in me, yeah, I like the vintage, but again, I want to see all those other characters from Filmation. I know I keep repeating myself, but it's
So you want it all, is what you're saying?
well, I mean, that's the problem, though. I don't think they would do that. They wouldn't make one version and then another version. I mean, they made the two versions of She-Ra, but that's because she's the main character. That's a given. But one of them was an exclusive, so they're not going to do a bunch of vintage versions as exclusives and then put all the ones in the store as the Filmation version. But it gives me.
I had.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I had the same thing happen to me when the She-Ra cartoon came out. Is what happened to me when the Filmation He-Man cartoon came out because I had bought all these figures, because it was She-Ra and she was a doll. My parents were like, "You can't get a lot of these; these are dolls." So I did have quite a few, but not all. And so when the Filmation cartoon came out, I was like, it was the same thing happened when He-Man came out. I was like, "Who is this? This is not She-Ra. This is not Catra. The She-Ra's villain is Catra, not Hordak." So I had that same experience all over again. So I think that's part of the reason why I want the vintage dolls is because one, to complete the collection, and two, because I had that early attachment with the dolls like you did with the cartoon. But also, we're still supposed to get a She-Ra live action. And so Mattel may be waiting on that to come out to give us more She-Ra stuff.
Well, and that's why I said when they mentioned that at San Diego Comic-Con that they're listening to the fans. Right now they don't have plans, but I'm sure they have this stuff planned out years in advance. Saying this is what we're going to do for next year, and this is what we're going to do 2 years from now. So they're not going to give any secrets away. So I don't think it's a dead issue with them. It's just everybody wants to know everything now, and we want to know everything now. But I don't like you were saying since the Snake Man and all them are coming. I don't see it happening again next year for the She-Ra stuff.
Mm-mm.
It'll be at least 2024, 2025. Is my guess, but I'm probably wrong.
This does not look better than my Origins She-Ra.
Right.
Just saying.
What is that for the people who are listening, not watching?
That's the.
Oh, sorry. So I have in one hand, I have the Super 7 Filmation She-Ra, and in the other hand, I have the Origins She-Ra. And the Origins She-Ra is far superior to the Super 7, not because of craftsmanship, just because of the design. She just is visually more aesthetic. Super 7 makes some phenomenal stuff, and they were very true to the show, but it just doesn't have the same wow factor that the original look did.
I'm trying to get her to stand and her arms like I don't know. It's not my favorite by any means.
Yeah, because I got the
Yeah.
Super 7 Trap Jaw. And
Yeah, they make great stuff. It's
yeah,
just
it
that
looks
design is
cheaper
not as
though to
appealing.
me. It looks cheaper, and I bought it because it's a Trap Jaw. I have to have almost everything him. But I love the Filmation colors that he comes, with the pink legs and all that
Yeah,
stuff. I'm just a super fan of him. But I look at it, and it's really glossy, and it doesn't. It's good looking, but it doesn't look right. It's just odd to me. It's weird. But
It's always how I
right.
felt too.
right,
I never picked up any of their stuff because it just seemed odd.
yeah, yeah. It's a lot of them. I mean, they're really super shiny plastic. It doesn't match vintage whatsoever. The Origins is duller. I like that. It's a lot better. It looks more. That looks like if I take it out and I drop it, it might crack on the sidewalk. Like it's
Yeah.
like hollow,
Right.
like that hollow plastic. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, like the old monster ones.
Yeah, it's different. But so okay, let's jump ahead and let's say they are coming out with vintage style She-Ra figures with the plastic hair and the durable plastic outfits. What about all the horses? Do you think they'll come out with those?
I don't because I don't know for what reason, but Origins has been not releasing mounts and vehicles and stuff nearly at the pace they should have been. Like when Strador came out, we should have had Night Stalker. We just got Roton. We still don't have the Battle Ram, which is the back component to the Sky Sled. We still don't have Road Ripper. We still don't have Attack Track. I mean, there's so many things
Yeah.
that they've just not given us that they announced the 2-pack of Tila and Zor, but no Screech. So I don't feel like we're ever going to get Swiftwind or the other horses.
Well, in my mind, about
Might get Swiftwind.
that's that's what I was wondering because I mean it's like Battle Cat, for her, she's got to have that. Um, I want to say just real quick since you brought them up, I want to say Night Stalker is going to come out. I think when they produce Snake Mountain for some reason, because I know like Stridor has that base that connects with Grayskull. I think they're going to do that with Snake Mountain, so they can't put that out yet because everybody's going to say, "Oh, that's going to connect." Um, I think the same thing with Screech. I think he'll come out as well when Snake Mountain comes around.
Maybe that'll be your exclusive figure that'll be inside the box with Snake Mountain.
Yeah, that's kind of boring though. I don't know if they would do that. I could see him coming with a 2-pack, or something like they did
Yeah.
with She-Ra, or not with Tila. I'm sorry, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, I think there'd be a lot of uproar if they didn't have Swiftwind at least. I don't remember how many original horses they had. I think Catra had one, right? One for
Oh
her.
yeah. Yeah, Catra
Yeah,
had
she
one,
had
but
a horse
I
and
think
she had a lion.
they all had their own mounts.
Yeah, that
So
lion, that pink lion.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Well, like you said, though, Shira was wave 3, and we just pre-ordered wave 9, and there's still no horse.
yeah, yeah. They already got Panther and Battle Cat, but no Swiftwind.
looking at it early on though, it seemed like they were coming out with a lot of those things, a lot of the animals and vehicles and stuff in the first few waves, and then it just like really died down.
Well, I think it's more of a cost thing as well as selling. A lot of people will buy action figures by the bunch, but not everybody's buying vehicles and especially play sets anymore. That was like a thing back in the day, when I grew up, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't find a lot of play sets anymore. Maybe it's like one for the entire toy line, you don't
Yeah.
have multiple play sets, but you can probably assume that you will because of Eternia is coming out, but that might be just a hello to the fans because a lot of us don't have it, you know.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know. So that brings up: do you think they'll come out with the She-Ra playsets?
No, I
Yeah.
I desperately want a Crystal Castle. And I've priced the eBay ones a million times. But I don't see us getting it in Origins.
Maybe someday, depending upon how things are going. I mean, you mentioned that the play sets are kind of out, but actually, like in the younger kids and stuff, the play sets are kind of coming back out. Because my kids are 4 and 3, so I see all the Paw Patrol stuff, and they come out with a new huge play set like every 3-4 months.
Really?
Yeah, so it seems like there was a big lull for a while, but it seems like it's starting to come back in style. So maybe in another 4 or 5 years, maybe that trend might change. As those younger generation keeps getting older.
Yeah, I know. I know. Like I forgot. Like when my son was young, he was getting into that Imaginext stuff with Batman and all that. So he had the Batcave, and then he had some weird Joker thing. It was like a fun house that they came out with, and I want to say another one. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, but those are scaled down play sets. Not like like our play sets that we've had before, where I mean, at Grayskull it's big, and that attorney is going to be huge.
Now, some of the Paw Patrol ones are like 4 feet tall.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. I don't know. I don't know that line.
Yeah, they're massive.
Huh?
It's like an Eternia set.
Really?
Yeah.
Which the new 2002X Castle Grayskull is very pared down. Not in price, but it is pared down in size.
Yeah. Yeah, those electronics are expensive.
They are very expensive, apparently. Double the cost of original Castle Grayskull.
Yeah, I think what was it, 126?
That castle's 140.
Or 140.
And you can go buy Origins Grayskull for. I mean, I even saw it on sale on Twitter for 65.
Yeah.
So,
I saw it.
It's
Target
literally double the cost. Yeah. Those electronics, man, they get you.
Yeah, right. So let's do this again. Filmation versus vintage. Since we're talking about the She-Ra line, let's add the Horde into the mix. You think they will do the what's the playset? I'm brain fogging right now. That comes with the Horde.
The Fry Zone?
Yeah, the Fright Zone. Sorry.
The one that's on your shelf?
Yeah, the one that's right behind me.
Run around!
I'm sorry, man. It's old man brain. But the Fright Zone. So if they did a Fright Zone, I'm pretty sure they would stick with the original. Or do you want it to look like the Filmation, like the outside?
I would want it to look like that one,
or a hybrid of the two. Because they got to expand it a little bit,
Yeah, but Grayskull and Eternia are pretty close to their original.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is kind of a wimpy playset, though. There's not a lot to it. I mean, there's the tree and the sock and a cage,
Right. Yeah.
The worst.
But I was saying, because the way it's shaped in the cartoon, it's really cool with all that design. So I mean, it could be one of those where it opens, and you have like the tree and the puppet and all that stuff on one side, and then you have the Filmation design next to it.
Maybe we'll get that in Masterverse.
Masterverse. Jeez.
Maybe.
I don't want to place that in Masterverse.
Why?
That'd be expensive.
15 foot tall.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't want a Castle Grayskull in Masterverse?
Well, I didn't even get the classics one. I got nowhere to put it.
Yeah.
I'm still angry about that.
Yeah.
I don't have $1,600 to order it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know, but we have to get the figures first. We're jumping ahead, so I don't know. So Ryan, since you've been pretty quiet and reading your emails while we're talking, you got anything to say?
No, I'm just looking up Princess of Power stuff.
Oh,
I'm just
oh,
browsing. So
Hey, I need a Starburst Shira and a Crystal Sheen Swiftwind when you go toy hunting.
okay, send me your credit card and I'll go buy them for you. Thanks. Uh,
Okay.
I mean, you guys all bring up great points, and I think I don't know. I think with She-Ra coming out here in Masterverse, and I know they're doing Hordak as well and Catra. I mean, maybe that's them testing the waters. I mean, maybe they'll be like, I know they had one version of She-Ra, but now, maybe with a Catra, they'll be like, if these sell, that might be their tipping point to go, okay, let's expand that out. I mean, they're doing it with 2000X. Like, are they going to do all the other 2000X characters, re-release them because they've already done them in Origin? So are we going to get a Triclops that's just a 2000X version? Like, maybe that's an Origins. I don't know, but I think you're limiting yourself when you hit this road of there's not much more you can do with the origin stuff unless you start bringing in some new stuff. Now I know that requires new molds, all that stuff, all the tooling and whatnot. But if you they all looking at the pictures here on eBay, just looking at them and they're very similar. They have the minor things that have different things with them, but for the most part, they're 90% the same, just like Origin figures. So it wouldn't set them back much to do it. And I think, bringing in. Do we need every horse? No, probably not. But it would be great to have a Swiftwind. And I mean, with the the Stridor, that we got, like the legs were now movable, which is great. And I think you could have a very articulated one. I mean, hell, McFarlane did it with a Build-A-Figure. Like I'd be okay with a Build-A-Figure Swiftwind. Like they did a big, the Dark Knight horse. Like I'd be okay with that. Like I'll pay an extra $5 a figure to get a nice big Build-A-Figure. So I think they can do it. Again, I don't think we're going to see anything new for 3 years, maybe. With all the stuff they announced at San Diego Comic-Con and such. But they might surprise us. Look at the Grizzlor and the Wundar.
Yeah, so if let's say they do come out with the line and they're waiting another 2 years, that's a big plan of sprinkling in whatever they're sprinkling in next year without any She-Ra figures. Let's just say that they're not putting She-Ra figures out. Are they just gonna let the line get to the end and start sprinkling them in? I mean, that'll make it a little bit tired, I think, after a while. All of a sudden it's all She-Ra stuff,
They could be waiting 2 or 3 years to get closer to that 40-year mark too, though.
Oh, for
That's
the She-Ra cartoon itself?
Yeah, because the first that first figure that came out was the 35th anniversary. So now we're 2 years past that, so you just wait a couple more years and there you are.
Yeah.
I mean,
2025.
but again, they showed a ton at San Diego Comic-Con. Doesn't mean that they showed everything.
No, of course not.
I mean, if you show everything, if you show your hand, you reveal your hand too early, then you lose the game. So it might be, and maybe that's what they're doing, but I don't know. It's such a. Go ahead.
From that theory, though, did we last year during PowerCon and stuff? They showed everything that was coming out this year. Is there anything that came out that we didn't see then? I'm trying to think.
Well,
they had some stuff
Yeah.
blocked out on the box because they're like, "Oh, we can't show you this."
Yeah,
yet.
that was the exclusives. That was Grizzlor and CamoCon.
Yeah.
So
no, these were master. I thought they were Masterverse figures.
well, they could be, but I'm talking about the
I
origins.
think they did for both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what. I know they showed the King Grayskull exclusive, but I don't remember the one. I'm trying to think of which one it is that would have been blocked out. I can't recall.
That'd have been Koldar.
No, he was already announced.
Was he?
Yeah.
I know that they announced Wundar.
Yeah, they announced Wundar and Koldar, but they didn't have the other two. So that was Grizzlor and CamoCon. I'm trying to remember the Masterverse one because Ryan's right. I believe it was blocked out. But one of them was the
It was
King
it was the new
Greystone.
Adventure line or the new Eternia line. They named it, but they didn't show it.
Oh, maybe
what it
that's
was.
what
Right.
it was. Okay, so
Yeah.
then
Yeah,
it was the
that's right.
Skeletor and He-Man. Okay.
So in a way they did show their hand or whatever. They showed everything that was coming out.
Yeah, that's a tease though. That's just saying, hey, look at what's coming. They didn't say. Well, they also mentioned all the other Masterverse lines like She-Ra or the Pop line and stuff, but they didn't say anything about New Adventures or Sunman until recently as well for Masterverse.
Yeah, but how much of that is a licensing thing though? I mean, they were still working on the Sunman stuff at that time.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and same with New Adventures.
Right. Yeah, like Ryan said and I said earlier, they can't say everything all at once because it's not going to keep people excited. I mean, they'll be excited, but it's not like, they need that excitement every so often. They can't just tell you all now, and then we're like, okay, we'll just wait for it. Now we're speculating, we're still talking. I mean, we're doing the episode about it. I think that's the interest that they're looking for. And like they said, they do, like they're saying, they listen to the fans, and I believe them now because of what they did with Grizzlor and Wondar. I mean, I have to give it to them for that. And they are bringing in a lot of cool stuff. I want to see more of that as well. The
Still want a
exclusive
weapons pack.
well, yeah, that's the Well, there was She-Ra had a lot of accessories.
Yeah.
A lot of those clothing accessories. Like Barbie type of stuff. If we're talking about the dolls.
Yep.
I doubt they would do that for the Origins line. And that brings back to us talking, do we want the cloth, the closed version, or do we want the plastic version? I think that's tough because it's, Origins is supposed to mimic vintage, like I've said earlier. But at the same time, some of our vintage figures didn't come with the fabric version of capes and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see if they do that with this line. But I'm still hard on wanting, because you say you want Catra. I want a Catra. I actually want a vintage Catra. I don't have a vintage Catra. But
She's fantastic.
yeah, I want the Filmation version. I keep saying that too, but I want the Filmation version in Origins because that, to me, opens up more of the characters to be made in Origins. But I know Ryan's shaking his head no, and I understand exactly what you're saying. That's why it's conflicting to me. But the Seahawk as a vintage or as a Origins figure would be great. Any of those characters, it's yeah, because they're coming out the Horde. We already know that, but I want a Scorpia. I definitely want a Scorpia in Origins, and a Shadow Weaver, but those aren't in the original line, and that's or a Huntara. What about Octavia?
Maybe there's some licensing, stuff that we haven't thought of as the reason. Maybe they're trying to get some licensing stuff worked out for some of those designs.
Yeah, I can see that
could
because
be a
it's
possibility.
But they already
Also,
made
we still
Filmation
don't have-
Koldar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, of the original Princess of Power dolls. Maybe there's some licensing there they're trying to figure out.
But they own
And
it
then
though, don't
also,
they? It's all Mattel, I believe.
I mean, I don't know. I was just saying maybe that's an option.
No, I get
And
what you're
then,
saying.
we still don't have Mechanic. Like, we just saw Mechanic, and he was one of the first figures.
Yeah, well, he's Bob.
Yeah, we just finally saw him.
Yeah, he's coming out next
who
year.
knows what order this stuff's going to come out in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can debate that forever. We'll never know until they announce it. That's why I don't like going off of rumors. I don't search for rumors. I don't like the breaking news all of a sudden, this guy heard this and this is what we believe type stuff. I wait for it to be officially announced because then I know for sure it's coming. We can all assume that they're going to make everything in Origins from the vintage line. They're teasing all that stuff of Preternia on the CamoCon art. I mean, they had the dinosaurs on there. That's one of the things I don't have from vintage is I don't have the 3 dinosaurs. The toy shop down here has them, but they're $500 a piece over there, and that's I can't spend another $1,500 just
You
on.
already spent 3,000 this week. What's
I-
this deal?
Yeah,
What's
right.
1,500 more? Swap that card.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's easy to do that until you start having to pay it off, But then you got
Well, and I think again, I think it comes down to, like you said, Bobby, like it's the fans, and I think if we get these She-Verse figures from Masterverse, Catra, whatever, keep tagging Mattel, Masters of the Universe, like I think they do see that, and I think if we're like, hey, please
I
bring
agree.
more, like keep it the momentum going. I mean, I think all of us have a good enough reach for people and keep people retweet a lot, like and just keep it going. And if that's really what people want to see, and and we want to see it, like I think that's what it takes is when they hear those things coming from the fans. I mean, clearly we know now they're listening, so we're now like, don't disappoint us.
No, but on the flip side, it is going to take a while though for new figures because they got to design them and they got to make the molds.
Well, they got
so
Tila.
yeah.
Well, they could do the Tila and Evil Lyn She-Ra bodies. I mean, if they're going to go that way, because I know the vintage is a lot different,
Yeah.
but they can go that way. I wouldn't mind, but I still need a couple of those Filmation figures. That's what keeps me going. I love them, and it's hard to explain, but I do, and I don't know. So that brings up, the big one, the Loo-Kee. He's in every single cartoon of that show. Do you want
And
him?
Cowl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Hey,
they
that'd be a 2-pack. That'd be.
But they had those
Yeah.
figures though, didn't they?
yeah, they did. Yeah, they're vintage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
it was
put
kind
them
of
all
like
at the
a
horse.
Snarf Thundercats thing,
Yeah.
where it
Right.
was just like he was a little solid piece of plastic,
It's
and
just worthless.
he didn't have any movement. And
But he looks weird, or they can make him look really cool as a Filmation figure. That design.
actually, I think.
By the way, I don't know if anybody noticed, but you got to find him in our screens. He's in one of our screens if you're watching this.
I think Cowl's belly open.
Did it?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now here. I got my book in front of me.
Yeah, I can hear you. We're rattling the page.
The more you
I think-
know.
I think episode 4 is Bobby's Filmation intervention.
What do I need an intervention for? I'm stuck
You
in
need
it.
an intervention.
I've watched it 40 years. So I can't. How am I gonna not? How you gonna
Brother.
take that out of my head?
You're wanting to erase my whole Princess of Power line.
It's gonna be like
Get the Filmation version.
It's gonna be like Clockwork Orange. He's gonna have me sit there and with my eyes wide open, staring at something else.
Yes.
New adventures for 50 days.
Yeah, you're gonna have to drink your milk though.
Yeah, right.
Well, what they should do is just blend them together and just have little pieces of everything. Then we'll just make everyone happy.
Well, that's the
No.
problem, though.
Or make no one happy. That
Right.
makes no one happy.
Yeah, and it's not
Just
going to
make 2.
Yeah, they're not going to want to do that.
You can say Rhino,
Yeah,
the
so it's-
Rhino version and the Bobby version.
It was a magic 8-ball type thing. You lift the belly to get your answer.
Yeah.
And I never had any of the Princess of Power, growing up. I mean, I'm like Bobby here. I only knew the cartoon really. But I did watch the cartoon. I mean, I was a little younger, so I was really into it. So
Well, you got to think too. At that time, there was a lot of good stuff out that appealed to me. A lot of good cartoons, and She-Ra didn't appeal to me because I was so upset that it didn't have He-Man, Trapjaw, Skeletor. I mean, they were in a couple episodes here and there, but it made me feel weird when I watched it. I don't know what it was, but I don't know. I don't get it. I watch it
Did
now,
make
and I
you
like.
tingly down there.
No,
Like
yeah.
that was the puberty kicking in.
Yeah, by purity.
Yeah.
Let's raise that sword.
Transformation
Yeah.
He was raising his sword up too.
Oh, all right.
Oh, Ryan.
What?
Yeah, I don't think we swore yet, but he goes. Oh man, that's another baggie he's gonna have to get from my friend in the mail.
Nope, we're not starting that. No inside jokes.
No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. I think I was just because I was upset, that it wasn't the same. The show wasn't continuing because I loved it so much as a kid, and I wanted
Well,
another
it
season
It
of
had a
He-Man.
lot of
It had a
episodes,
different
though.
feel too.
Yeah, it definitely did. Yep, a lot of difference. But I watch it now, and
He shows
I
up
enjoy
quite a
it.
bit.
Yeah, he does. But I
The
mean,
grandfather shows up.
yeah,
Like, she goes and visits Randor and Marlena quite a bit.
I get that. I get that. I'm talking about it, me being 12 years old when it came out.
Well, I was angry that her sword was silver. I was like, where is the gold sword? Why is it silver? Like, there was so many changes.
Maybe it doesn't come off good on the art when they did it. Who knows? Well, they probably wanted to keep it the same as the power sword from He-Man, kind of, dual swords type of deal. Who knows? But yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I'm still conflicted with the figures itself. I really want to see the Filmation, as I keep mentioning. I know I'm an old man now. I repeat
Episode
myself.
4.
Yeah, yeah, we'll talk that. Yeah.
So to summarize it, though, we want it all.
We want it all.
Yeah, well, that's why I was saying, Mattel ain't going to do that. They're going to pick one way or the other. And that's why I'm trying to figure out what you guys want to see most. And it's,
Well, no, that's not true. Because we have a box coming out that has 4 versions of He-Man in it.
yes,
It has the Filmation He-Man, the New Adventures He-Man, the 2002 X He-Man. I mean, the 2000 X He-Man and the 2002 X He-Man. So they do make different versions because you are going to get your cake and eat it too because Origins has a vintage He-Man and a Filmation He-Man. So there's a chance they'll do that with some She-Ra figures as well.
yeah, but those are exclusives, though. They're not going to continue a line of just, or a Filmation
Well, I mean, maybe
He-Man.
the Filmation Catra version will be an exclusive.
Yeah, I mean,
and maybe with these hour or 1 day windows that they're putting, if they see a big enough thing, why not? Why not do more?
Made to order.
I hope that's
And
the case from now on.
And that's a good point, though. They might do an exclusive first for a few of those, a few of those pop characters, and just to see what the interest is. That'd be one way to do it.
My guess be if it was a exclusive, I think they would do what they did with She-Ra with the hair and the fabric material. I think if you want a true vintage version, you have to get the exclusive. The store version is going to be the plastic. It doesn't have to necessarily be Filmation version, but I think they'll probably go that route. Even though I would prefer Catra as the Filmation because that opens up to me in my mind. They'll make more of the Filmation characters that I want to see. Yeah, so I don't know. It's just my
Princess
old man
of
brain.
Power erasure. Princess of Power erasure. I'm not here for it.
Okay. So, what's your takeaway then with this? Just sum up what your thoughts are on each of these topics that we talked today, real quick. Like your favorite version you want to see and all that stuff. Just to summarize.
I mean, personally, I don't care. I would just like to see anything. So, I mean, Rhino, sorry if they released Filmation. I think we'd have to be happy with it. Bobby, if they released, the classics ones or the vintage ones, and we'd have to be happy with that. But I think all in all, I think the consensus with all of us, and I'm not speaking for all of us, but I think it is the more the better. And I think it comes down to us fans making sure Mattel and all of them know that we want these, and I think buy them when you see them in store, and that does help as well.
Yeah, and I think there's a large enough community out there from people we talk to on Twitter and Facebook and stuff that there is a large group of us that do want these figures.
Yeah, and if the only thing we get is the Filmation versions, of course I'm still going to buy them. I mean, I'm still going to get them. If that's what I get, that's what I get, and I'm going to love it all regardless because I love every bit of it. I just don't understand where my Battle Armor She-Ra figure is.
It's coming out right after your new adventure, She-Ra.
Yeah, that's a
I'll take it.
new
I'll take it.
Eternia. New Eternia.
Yeah.
That's
You know,
what-
I do have to say on the talk with She-Ra, my 2000X She-Ra, the SDCC exclusive, I really like that figure. That's probably
good
one of
figure.
my favorite figures.
Yeah, I don't have that one. I don't get
And
a lot of
Classics
exclusives.
made a new adventure She-Ra. It looks really good.
Really?
Yeah. Galactic Princess.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm sure when they make the live action, there'll be a whole cycle of figures for that too. So
Yeah, because
I'll get to buy all those.
Yeah, you do have that audience of that, but I think they would scream if it didn't look like the cartoon. I don't think they would be too interested in the vintage or origins. I could be wrong because
Yeah.
I think they would like just that version itself.
I tried to buy the Netflix cartoon She-Ra dolls, but I'd never found them in stores. They were only online exclusives and con exclusive type situations. And all I could ever find them were with the scalper tax, and so they were crazy expensive. But they made great figures too. So that's my final thought: is I want anything and everything She-Ra. Give it to me, whatever format, whatever version, I want it.
Okay, so I think we're all in agreement that we want it to appear, and I'm all for it too. You know, like I said, I prefer the Filmation more than the vintage, but at the same time, Origins is based on vintage figures. But yeah, I think just hopefully it sells. I know a lot of people are saying it doesn't sell because they're geared towards more girls, but I think the fan base nowadays is hungry for it all compared to separate things. I don't think they want it separated because I think that's why they're asking for all this 2000X, and the Masterverse, not the Masterverse, but the CGI cartoon to be made as well. So I think fans are more accepting of it as a total now. I mean, they did that with Classics, so why not with Origins? I think Origins can, like someone said today on Twitter, they could expand and be the biggest toy line Mattel has produced for Masters of the Universe He-Man stuff. So we shall see. It's just exciting to talk about and fun and to speculate. But maybe Bob's right. It might be one of those 2025 deals, a few years away. Yeah, I mean, that's still, 3 years from now? Well, it's 2.5, but who knows? We'll see. But I still think they should sprinkle it in soon.
I do too.
Yeah, before it gets too far in. And then, you're bombarded with a bunch of She-Ra stuff and everybody doesn't want that, you're getting everything else. But we'll see. I just want to say thanks for everybody tuning in. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit like, subscribe, share. If you're listening to us on audio, we're available pretty much anywhere you can get your podcast. We also have a website at collectorsofpower.com. We are adding more stuff to it, and Bob's been working pretty hard on that. It's going to be pretty exciting to have some stuff that we want to show you on there as well. And I just want to say thanks for everybody listening. Have a good time, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. See you, everybody.
She-Ra, yeah. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.